And I said, like, I was wondering if you would do me the honor of, and she starts going, oh my God, 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 oh my God. I couldn't, and I was like, I don't know if you heard the question, but would you do me the honor of being my wife? She's like, oh, yes, 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 yes. And I was like, should I put the ring? She's like, yes. So I give her the ring, I slip it on her finger, and the reaction, honest to goodness, was like, fuck yeah. Like, that's what I was. She was so happy. The fog, it didn't literally disappear. The fog was still there. But for her, she was just like, oh my God. It was there. She was like.
This is We Don't Always Agree, the podcast where we thrive on hard conversations. I'm Ryan Michelle Bethay.
And I'm Sterling K. Brown.
We said I do almost 20 years ago, and two things about us: we love each other deeply, and we can disagree deeply about a lot of things.
This is true, but we've been learning how to disagree healthily, and this show is our way of pulling back the curtain and sharing our evolution with you. Bird, is you ready?
Child, I'm ready. Are you ready?
Let's go, big dog. We Don't Always Agree is recorded at the Blackbird House flagship in Culver City, California. We're going to talk about why you should get married, why we got married, and why it has worked for us for 18 years. Let's go from the granular to the general, to the universal, if you will, and we'll talk about when we got together. It was April 2004 for that last sort of hurrah, and I was still living in New York. Right? Because I was just out in LA for pilot season that year, and you were living in Los Angeles. And so we dated long distance for over a year. Like every 6 weeks or so, I would either come out to LA or you would come to New York, and we'd spend a week or two with each other, and then we'd go back, right? And I think it was after a year, maybe a little over a year, that you said, I don't know if this is what I want in terms of the distance of it all. You don't remember this? Or tell me what you recall.
I don't remember saying that. I do remember saying that I didn't think that this was... I don't remember saying it's not what I want. I just said I don't know how sustainable this is. Just.
I think you said something along the lines like, I feel like I'm in the benefits. I'm in a relationship without the benefits of being in a relationship, in terms of companionship, in terms of like having someone to come home to, that sort of thing.
I will admit the first year of being long distance is fun because it's like you get the best of both worlds, and then immediately.
Explain that.
Well, because you get. I meant literally like New York, LA. It's like, I get to go to New York.
I can have a boyfriend and take his ass home.
No, but you get to experience like,
that's
and
what she meant
all.
too.
It's not what I meant, but you get to experience like every time somebody comes to the city, it's like new and fresh, and every time, and then very quickly in a long distance relationship, unless there is like an idea like, oh, we're gonna do this long distance because this job is over in 2 years, so that's just how it is. Like when it just feels indefinite, it's like, okay, and it's just gonna be indefinite forever.
What is it building to?
Yeah.
Okay, so the newness was starting to rub off, and you wanted to have some consistency, something that you knew was going to be like
or just
tangible.
if we're gonna do this forever, like what does it mean?
After you said that, I said I'll move to LA. Right?
Yes.
I always thought, and it's interesting too, because I always thought that a job would be the thing that moved me to LA, right? But it ultimately just turned out to be you. And I was like, okay, I'm good with it. I feel like I can work from New York or Los Angeles. I'm going to be okay. I want to be together. Like, I think we're both in that place in life where we had done enough dating that it was sort of like a shit or get off the pot type of moment. Like, if I'm making this commitment to this woman, and let's be real, let's show her that the commitment is legitimate, right? So I moved to LA. And in that time, like, because I moved to LA in December 2005. We got together April 2004, and we had talked a little bit about marriage. And Brown would ask questions like, yo, so if somebody was going to propose to you, like, what kind of ring would you want? Like, what would be the thing that, like, sort of like, you'd be like, well, it has to be an emerald cut. And I was like, oh, emerald cut. Why is that? She's like, well, they're very clear diamonds, Sterling, and you can see right through them. So if they have any imperfections, they kind of glare. So you have to have a very high quality diamond in order for it to work. And I was like, this Negro. Okay, understood. But you were crystal clear. And I got to tell you, I actually appreciated the clarity of the vision. Like you knew, it's like, it has 2 trillions on either side. And I was like, is there like any kind of diamond besides that? Like, and you're like, well, sometimes man-made diamonds, I'm a little frustrated with it. So if it was a yellow diamond, I think that would be beautiful. Clearly with your yellow on right now, etc. So Brown goes on to the interwebs, looking for like emerald cut diamonds, yellow diamonds. I kind of knew you hadn't said this exactly, but I knew it had to be a minimum caratage or what have you. So I was looking at that caratage and up, found a diamond. I showed you a picture of something. I was like, what do you think of something like, if somebody was going to propose, what do you think of something like this? And you're like, oh, that's nice. So I took my ass to the Diamond District, right? And I found it. Like it felt like Roots when he comes back home. I found you. I found the stone. And the guy had the 2 trillions and he had to put them in the setting and he goes, what do you think of this? And I was like, I don't know what accent I just did. But and he showed it to me and I was like, I think this is it. And so it was December and I wanted to propose on the beach. And it's December 24th and we're about to go home to St. Louis on Christmas Day because we needed a cheap ticket to fly home. And I wanted to be able to tell my family that I was engaged. So the day before, and I just got there like earlier that month. And it's December 24th. I was like, hey, Bird, you want to go to the beach? Like I had gone on the internet. I knew what time the sun was going to set. And I was like, it's going to be like a romantic, like sunset sort of thing. I said, you want to go to the beach? Now, this day in Los Angeles, ladies and gentlemen, for some strange reason, there was pea soup thick fog on the ride out to Santa Monica.
Like, so you have to go down the 10, right? Because we were living on Pico. I just want to like set the scene. So we're going down the 10. It is the day is gorgeous, right? And we're driving along and we're talking and we look at the same time and there is a wall. It looked like we had to stop. Like it looked like we were going to.
It was 0 dark 30, son.
Like it was a wall of fog, and that the marine layer. Usually, the marine layer kind of comes in, and then it's like it's got fingers.
No, this
was it was like boom boom, like Lost Law and Order. Dun, dun.
Yeah, and so we're driving, and she's like, Sterling, I can't see anything. And I was like, yeah, I know, but it's the beach and da-da-da. She's like, well, what's the point? We can't see anything. I was like, well, listen, you get to have the beach all year. I live out in New York. I want to have a little bit of beach time before we go to St. Louis or whatever. She's like, fine, Sterling.
I was like, but we can't
So
see
we get out to the
anything.
beach. I break out like the little beach blanket or whatever. Now, this fog is cold, too. It's like 58 degrees.
Like everything.
Something. I was like, where you want to set up? She's like, it doesn't matter where we set up, Sterling. I can't see the water.
I didn't say it like that.
I'm like, look,
I swear
let
to
me
God.
just put the blanket down somewhere. And I was like, let's sit down here. And she's like, fine. So we're sitting down. I was like, so what do you think? How are we doing, like, as a couple? And she's like, cold. She's like, I think we're doing fine, Stern. I don't know what we're doing here. I was
No.
Go ahead.
No. I wasn't that, because I remember in my mind, I can remember thinking he just wants to see the beach. Don't be a see you next Tuesday. So if anything, it was more resigned. It was like, we're fine, Sterling.
So I started saying, like, like it's been really nice for us to reconnect and for you to be in my life and everything. You're my best friend. And I'm just so happy that we get a chance to finally spend life together. And then I start to reach into my pocket and I said, like, I was wondering if you would do me the honor of, and she starts going, oh my God, 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 oh my God. And I was like, I don't know if you heard the question, but would you do me the honor of being my wife? She's like, oh, yes. And I was like, should I put the ring? She's like, yes. So I give her a ring. I slip it on her finger. And the reaction, honest to goodness, was like, fuck yeah. Like, that's what I was. She was so happy. The fog, it didn't literally disappear. The fog was still there. But for her, she was just like, oh my God. It was there. She was like, she started making phone calls to different people. And I was sitting there. I was like, it's really cold.
No, No, we laughed. We did not. Because
no, for a second. And then I was like, you want to get something to eat? And you're like, okay. So that was a good day. We get to go home to St. Louis. We tell everybody we're engaged. Everybody's very, very... My family was very, very happy for us.
Your family was very, very happy for us.
I will not speak for your clan.
You shouldn't.
But they were very happy. So now, this is what happens. We get back to LA, and we want to try to find premarital counseling. And at the church that we were going to at the time, they had a rule against cohabitation with regards to premarital counseling. And like, I came up to the lady, gave her our address, and she goes, now look, I can't accept you into this program because y'all live in the same address. But if you give me a different address, we can go ahead and sign you up into the program.
She did.
And I was like, lady, you were very sweet. I shall not begin my marriage lying to the Almighty, right? So I was like, we had to find somebody else.
Right, and shout out to Jason and Laura Stevenson.
Our friends Jason and Laura introduced us to our...
Kikanza married them.
Yes.
Right.
Go ahead.
And so Kikanza, she's a marriage counselor, family counselor, and she married them probably, 10 years ago at that point.
Yeah.
And so we reached out to them and got her information.
So here's the interesting thing, too, that I have to add to it, is that we had not been sort of what I'll call keeping it holy throughout our courtship. But there was this call on Brown. I was like, listen, we're engaged now to be married. I was wondering if we can sort of like give this engagement to God and sort of abstain from, premarital boot knocking. And you were like, cool, right? So, but there was tension in the house because we're sharing a bed for the first time or whatnot. And Ryan was like looking at me like, so you really not going to do nothing? I was like, no, I'm going to cuddle. You go to sleep.
No, you didn't, because you don't cuddle.
I really don't like to cuddle.
Like,
I get hot. But so there's just like frustration with us laying in the bed. And I could feel it.
It was just weird. It's weird. It was weird.
This is a lot to resist.
Yes.
I don't know why she's laughing. Come on now. You know what I'm talking about?
So much to resist.
So anyway, so we get to Kikanza, and she's like, what are y'all doing? Yeah. Like, you're abstaining from sex after you've moved 3,000 miles to be with the woman that you love. Like, why would you do that? And I was like, because I want
Jesus.
For Jesus. For Jesus.
And she was like, okay, then why not get married? And then that's when I was like, well, we got a plan. We got to get this.
No. You know what? Listen, I was like, why not? I was like, you could see, I think you could see in my eyes, I was like, I'll do this shit right now. Yeah. Right? And then you were like, so go ahead.
Yes. So we didn't meet somewhere in the middle because she was like, look, she kind of explained like, I had presented, because my family was, as we have all known, my family was not particularly into this whole idea of me marrying Sterling. So I said, listen, we had gone to St. Louis, and during the engagement process, we were trying to find place to have the wedding, and my family.
Did we do it on that trip?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I did it on that trip. Because I did it with your sister, your sweet sister. She took me around, and my family was very hesitant to give their blessing. And so I had presented to them, I said, well, why don't you guys throw me an engagement party, and then you can do it the way you want to do it, because I had been told that I didn't have good enough taste to plan a wedding. I remember
that. Yeah.
And so I said to my family, so well, fine, if I don't have good taste and I'm tacky, then, and I was told tacky, they said you're tacky. I was like, if I'm too tacky, then why don't you just plan it, and then you can say to our friends and family, this is what we would have done, and Tacky Ryan, you can go to Tacky Ryan's Tacky Wedding.
Yeah.
And the response I got was, that's great, but if you cared about what we thought, you wouldn't be marrying Sterling in the first place.
It was a good time.
And so I shared that with Kikanza, and Kikanza was like, okay, so listen, if you want to make the people in your life happy, you're never going to make the people in your life happy.
Right.
So you have a choice. Like, you keep thinking that the longer you draw out this engagement, at some point, she's like, I think you think that if you draw out this engagement, they're going to eventually come around, and then you can get married and everything will be great. And that there's some magical thing you can do or say that will present them this like, oh, see, now this is why you should change your mind.
Right.
And she was like, that is a fallacy, and that's not.
And that's kind of held True.
Kikanzanuri Robbins was right.
Yeah, she was
and
right.
so, anyway, very long story short, she was like, what are the elements that you think would make a beautiful ceremony, union, and just do that? So we had
we did March 18th, 2006.
Technically, I guess it's called an elopement.
Yeah, well, we didn't tell that many people.
We didn't tell that many people. We didn't go to the courthouse. She was like, look, you don't have to go to the courthouse. We had Indian food at my best friend and your best friend who happened to be married to each other.
Mm-hmm.
We had Indian food at their house.
Karen and Olivia, we love you.
And and we...
We had a great time. And then we went to the Montecito in Santa Barbara.
We did.
Right, and then we had to rush back because I had to test for a pilot. But we were married. Yeah. And so I want to just get into the beginning of the marriage because it was an interesting and very unique thing, I think, particular to us because I was excited and wanting to tell everybody, right? So all my groomsmen I wanted to let know, my mom I wanted to let know that I wasn't living in sin. You know what I'm saying? They're like, I was married now, Mom. You know what I'm saying? So it's not that bad of a thing. And anytime I wanted to tell somebody, you'd be like, why? Why can't you just be quiet? It
wasn't quite that vicious, Sterling. You make it sound. Well, because I was like, okay, here was my thought process. All right, we did this for ourselves. It made sense for us, the beginning of our marriage, the beginning of our family, the beginning of us starting our traditions. And it was also, it's kind of like how we're in this moment now where it's like you take 2 steps forward in terms of civil rights and you take 17 steps back. Then you take 2 steps forward. It's like, y'all not slaves no more, but meet Mr. Jim Crow, right? Like it felt like I had personally.
That's what marriage felt like with Jim Crow?
No.
Just checking.
Felt like I had taken this big step of liberation in terms of doing something on my own and going against my family and what their wishes were. And then it was like, then there was a contraction, right? Like, okay, oh, that's scary. Let me go back into a little box. Don't tell anybody, don't tell anybody, don't tell anybody, don't tell anybody. I was like, because if they find out. And the other thing was, I didn't want them, I knew that they would feel like you had taken something from them. So not only did I marry you, not only did I marry you against their wishes, not only did I marry you against their will, but then they didn't even have anything to do with it. They didn't see it. And if they didn't see it, then, I don't know that it even happened. How do you might just be lying. They will call you duplicitous. And they will, there were so many things happening that I felt like the less we say about this elopement, the better.
So I'm going to say 2 things. Number one, I'm going to apologize. Hindsight 2020, very different place in my life. I would not have been as caught up with regards to keeping it holy because I knew I was already committed to you, right? And so that was that's something that I've since shed that I think created a problem that didn't need to exist where we could have taken our time because I think while dudes, I think in large part, and I'll make myself specific, think about what it's like to be married and in relationship, I know that wedding was a big thing for you. And having everybody be there and everybody be present. And so we kind of got a chance to have our cake and eat it too because we had a more formal ceremony where everybody got a chance to celebrate later. But it's almost like that first 14 months of the marriage for me were the thing that I was waiting for. And for you, it doesn't start until after this thing.
Well, it's not that it just...
That's what it felt like to me.
Okay, I can get that. I can get that that's how it felt like for you. For me, it didn't feel like our marriage hadn't started. I just didn't want I didn't want anybody to, I was trying to make a lot of people happy. And I didn't want anybody to have any more reasons why you had done something else. And even when we got pregnant and we tried to share that with people, it was because I was like, everybody knows by now, we are the most crunchy granola Black people that have ever crunched or granolaed, right?
Natural childbirth.
And man alive, my family was like, blink twice if Sterling is making you have this baby without an epidural. Blink twice. And I was like, what are you talking about? No, I'm kidding. But I was like, why would you think
I don't like your jokes sometimes.
That
I don't.
No, but it's true. I mean, like they
I
were.
do, but like I wasn't making you do. You
No,
led
you
that.
weren't
You led
making
that
me
decision.
do anything. I was like,
Yes.
who has met me and not been like? I mean, I drink like 17 bottles of kombucha a day. Like
You do drink a lot of kombucha.
you know what I mean? We just talked about like how I
Gassy.
do my master cleanse and you know what I mean? I don't feel it just was weird that anybody who has met me would not believe that I was the main force and driver of natural woomy swame childbirth.
Yeah.
But I'm getting ahead of myself. So I guess I was trying to protect what we had, because similar to the 10 days,
Yeah.
I was trying to protect what we had, and you were like, let's tell everybody. But
Can I say something
I'm
like
glad- go
small
ahead.
microcosm of
Yeah.
what you just said that sort of hit me in a very profound way?
What?
Because you said you were trying to please a lot of people. It felt like I wasn't one of those people. And we can sit in that. We can sit in
I'm
that.
very sorry you felt
It's
that
okay
way.
because I think that theme has been something that we've lived through a lot in 18 years.
Yes.
So I'll say that much, all right? Let's talk about why we think, now that we are married, we are together. We had talked, I want to say this, we spoke a lot about what we wanted out of the marriage beforehand in terms of family, right? Mm-hmm. And we both, I think we agreed, so you tell me where we connect and not, that we wanted family. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the things for me was like, I don't want to raise an only child. Mm-hmm. I was like, we should have two. Mm-hmm. And you were like, cool. Mm-hmm. Yes? Mm-hmm. And we both said that like, okay, let's just enjoy the freedom of being married for at least a couple of years before we start to think about family, right? So what happened was I'm doing Army Wives, and interestingly enough, right, the beginning of our marriage is sort of, we were long distance to come back together for me to book a show 3,000 miles again, and we very much begin our marriage long distance. We had a 6-week rule.
Army Wives was filmed in
Charleston, South Carolina. So we had another 6-week rule or what have you. And I was like, well, you want to move here? And you're like, I can't do my career from Charleston. I was like, fair enough. I get it. Folks weren't going on tape the way that like everything is happening right now. And so I was like, I need to be in LA for this. So we would have good times and then we'd have long stretches of time apart from one another. But when we get to 2 years, I was like, hey, what do you think about these kids? And you were like, what?
I was like, no. I wasn't like, no. I think that it was also bumping up against the fact that I was like, wow, I'm really legitimately not where I want to be. We had strikes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had a pilot that I had booked that was gonna like change my life. It was a Jada Pinkett Smith produced pilot. It was called MILF and Cookies, and I was the first one that they booked.
Yes,
and
MILF.
And it was so exciting, and like I booked it, and I couldn't do anything else for pilot season. And while they were figuring it out, they got into a creative difference because Jada Pinkett Smith didn't want. I was going to be the only woman of color.
Okay.
And they were like, or the only black woman, and they wanted another black woman. But she was like, no matter which of these characters you make black, I don't want her to have the two, because I was supposed to have been a single mom and a teen mom. She's like, so the other one is a teen mom. I don't want two black teen moms. This one she doesn't
fair.
like, so I don't want it to be two black women that don't like each other. And then I can't remember. And anyway, they went back and forth, and she was like, go ahead and pull it, thinking that they wouldn't, and they did. And I was like, so it was just like I kept bumping up against all of these things that like, okay, and then we, now my career is going to start. Now my career is going to start. And it never ever was. It was just like, it felt like I was in a place of failure after failure after failure, and failure that people would be like, I would kill to have booked a Jada Pinkett Smith pilot, but like, it didn't go. And so no one knows. I don't even know if anybody's ever heard of MILF and Cookies until this very moment. Shout out to, Jada Pinkett Smith. Holla at your girl. Anyway, but so all of that was happening. And it just in my mind, when we got married and in your grad school, you just think 10 years sounds like a long time when you're 24.
Right.
And then when and you think I'm graduating from grad school, anything can happen in 5 years. That's a long time.
Sure.
And then cut to those 5 years go in a blink of an eye, and you're not where you want to be, and you're never where you want to be. And it was starting to feel like I would never be where I wanted to be when we were going to have children. So that's where I was at.
There's a period of time in our life where you would refer to me as a working actor, and how I had no idea what it was like for life from your perspective. And it was a tense time because we're thousands of miles apart. We are a couple of years into the marriage. We are trying to figure out what it is that we both want out of life at that particular time. Family being like sort of primary in my mind, and career being primary in yours and whatnot. But because we had talked about it and then we arrived at it, and I think I had been sort of consistent, you're like, not there yet, right? So there was friction. We made it through the friction. You know what I'm saying? And you decide like, okay, I don't know if you said you were ready or not, but you're like, Brown is ready. And if I
Andrew was clearly ready, because
as soon as we may not have been relating to one another with great frequency, but once we decided that we were like, all right, let's do it. I think we had relations. And then Andrew was like, here I am. Like, he's like, I'm inside you now. What are the values and benefits of marriage from your perspective? Like, why, and don't talk about just a relationship, but marriage. Why marriage?
Well, I think for me, what I have discovered is that it is I hate to put it in these terms, but it's a binding contract.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is a binding contract. Not only do you have all of the things of a long-term partnership, right? Because I don't want to put whatever I say now. I do not want to make it try to make it seem like I'm putting marriage above anything else. Okay. I'm trying to delineate what makes marriage different from a long-term partnership, because that's what we're talking about. Because we chose marriage and not a long-term partnership, right? And maybe at this point in our lives, we would, now that we're even, we're all ayahuasca, maybe we would just choose a long-term partnership.
Keep shaking, man.
But we have a binding agreement that I feel we would have to actively break. We would not just break up our household, not just break up our family, not just or reorganize. I don't want to even use these words because I'm trying to be like sort of decoupling about it. But there is something to be said for you can decouple, rearrange, but then you have to go to somebody's courthouse.
Yeah.
You actually have to get another human being to say this is actually, you have to get the law, the government, the United States of America. Somebody has to say this is dissolved. Yeah. And I think when you take that when you have a marriage, you know that that's the step that you took. And then that's the step that you would have to take. Sure. And you'd still, even us, I mean, we laugh about it all the time, like black divorce. When black people get divorced, they don't actually get divorced because nobody really wants to file all the paperwork.
They move out of the house, like people start dating other people and whatnot. They can't get married because they ain't got divorced.
Right. But that's still something that binds you. It's still an actual legal tie that binds. Yeah. And people will still refer to the wife, and Uncle so-and-so, and because you're still married until you take that final step. So for me, I guess that's how I delineate it. And what makes it worthwhile for me is that when you have that final step, I think it makes you, it's like a break, right? It's like, in my mind, it's like when things get the toughest, I'm like, I'd have to actually break something. I'd have to actually break the contract. Yeah. And when I think about it in those terms, I'm like, okay, let me reevaluate some things that I'm going through. And then the more spiritual, emotional part about it all is that when that is in place, then I have to say, okay, what is happening in the marriage that is showing me a way to be a better person? Yeah. So that I can choose to be a better person, so I can show up for my partner better. Because whatever this is just a life lesson that I have called. I do the whole thing. It's a life lesson that I have called to myself so that I can be better. And so we all have those moments, right?
Listen, so two thoughts that I just had, because I know a few couples who God has blessed in other ways than being able to have children, who wanted children when they got married. I want to say there is something lovely in finding someone that you wish to share your life with. Because even if we didn't have Andrew and Amari, like, booking my first job and having you there, or any awards that have come my way and having you there, being able to have someone to celebrate life with is a beautiful thing in and of itself, right? So I don't want to minimize that or make the people who aren't blessed to have kids feel a particular way about it, because there's something
or
beautiful.
Choose to not have them.
Right. Or choose not to have them, and just sharing your life with a human being. But like both of us were also thinking on the same page with regards to children and what have you. Second thought, because we were talking about having a happy household with parents who are modeling a loving sort of thing. Andrew didn't say this. Our oldest son, we had our children on the show.
He didn't say much.
Thank you for doing the show. He didn't say much. It didn't make for great TV, but hopefully we'll be able to edit together and you guys will be like, oh, that was so cute. Anyway, the night before, I asked, like, what have you seen between mommy and daddy that has taught you about love? You know what he said? I don't think I told you this. He goes, 80% of the time you guys are cool, but the other 20%, he's like, you guys both complain to me about the other person, and sometimes I wish you would just talk to each other. And I was like, I'm taking the note, bruh. I'm taking the note, because, and that's probably a lot of marriages, you have that 80-20 sort of thing where most of the time things are going pretty good, but then there's Monday through Thursday. And then something happened on Friday, and they see it all. Now, listen, we know we're not perfect. Clearly, we don't always agree. You know what I'm saying? But I think the thing that I hope that we can model is that when he sees the frustration and the argumentation, he also sees the resolution. And I don't know how good we've been about always showing that part. What do you think?
I really don't know, because now I'm like, I'd have to drill down a little bit with him in terms of what he means by, I think it's, he's at an age where maybe I just have to be more, I don't think I try not to be that, because your daddy, your daddy gets your dad. I don't want to be that. I know that's part, you know what I mean?
And I know, look, on my part is like, my chief frustration with you is your relationship to time.
Yes.
That is my chief one. And there would be times where like, if mom could come, we could get there, bud. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I just need to talk to mom.
Yeah, and I think I just need to, I'm gonna just, like you said, take the note. I'm even trying to think in real time right now, like, what have I done? When did I say that? When, how? And it's a household, so who knows what I say? And, if I talk to myself. And you talk
to yourself a lot.
Yeah, so
Ryan
I don't
talks
know
audibly out to herself, and everybody can hear it. And you're like, there's people here. And she's like, huh?
Anyway, the point is that that's really deep. I'm gonna be mindful of that, because I don't want him to feel like he's the person that we go to when we're frustrated with the other person.
And you know what's interesting? You're an only child. I'm the youngest. When I see things through his eyes as the oldest, sometimes he shoulders a lot.
He does.
He shoulders he really does. A lot. And like, it sort of just made me realize that, like, I gotta let this dude be a kid. Like, So,
and it's easy because he is very mature.
Yeah.
And he has he's got a deep voice, and he's got a way about him that's very kind of stoic.
Yeah.
So when people are like that, I think that they get the brunt.
Yeah.
Because it's like, check on your strong friends.
Totally.
Like, check on your strong kids.
Absolutely. Let's go to, look, we're here. We've made it.
18 years.
What is it that you like about being married now? And I don't want to try to I'm not trying to get you to, do you like me?
Yes.
Is there anything what do you
I do. I like you a lot. I really like you.
I like you too.
I like that,
You okay?
Yeah,
Should we
I'm
pause?
thinking. No, I'm not. No, you don't have to pause.
I like it.
No, because I'm trying to phrase it because I was thinking, like, I like that I'm not embarrassed. And
Oh, that's so sweet.
No. And that's why I knew I was going to say it like that. And I knew you were going to say that's so sweet. And I knew it was going to be a problem. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that I am proud of you. And I am proud of the person that you are in the world. And I'm incredibly proud about how you show up in the world. And I'm proud of the fact that I would be proud even if I wasn't your wife. If things hadn't worked out and I was somewhere, I don't know, wherever, and you were somewhere, whatever, doing a podcast with somebody, maybe I'd want to stab just a little bit, just a little stab. But maybe if you weren't married to somebody, if you were single, it'd be easier for me to be proud. But I really do believe that, like, the person that you are, when I take wife out of it, I'm proud to know you. I'm proud to be your friend. I'm proud that we graduated from Stanford in the same year. I'm proud that we went to NYU together. I'm all of the ways that you are. And then I get this incredible front row seat to the fact that it's real. It's not like you smile for the cameras and you're, mean to service people and staff members. And, you're not that person. Like, you were legitimately extraordinarily thoughtful and kind. We joke a lot about not being sweet, but like you are an authentically decent, kind, thoughtful person. And I'm incredibly proud that I get a front row seat. And it just so happens the seat is called wife seat. No, but you know what I mean? Things could have gone differently. We could be besties and be like, that's my buddy, that's my homie. Yeah. But it's a very special. So you have a lot of besties and homies. But there's one, I'm like, oh, wow. And there's just that one seat. And that's for me to watch this. Yeah. And it's like really, really cool to like watch you move through the world, because you move with a physical and an emotional grace that a lot of people don't have.
You waited till we got a podcast to say the sweetest damn thing that you've ever said to me in your entire life. I'll take it. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'll say this too, not to try just to reciprocate, but you learn a lot about yourself by the company that you keep. You know what I'm saying? You can tell what kind of person you are by looking around and saying like, oh, my friends are kind of dope. Mm-hmm. You're kind of dope. I like to tease you about certain things, whatever, but like, you are smarter. You are more well-read. You'll get that because you can read a book like that, and I'm like struggling on page 2 sometimes. You are one of the best friends I've ever seen in action. Like, for you, friendship is an action word, and I'm not talking about just with me, but like with your sorors, with your besties or whatnot. Like, the way in which you show up for people is great. Like, sometimes like I get frustrated because like I don't get like husband privilege. Like I'll hear something after the fact from somebody like, did you know this happened to your girl? You're like, yeah, I've known for years. It's like, how come you didn't tell a nigga? You know what I'm saying? Because the way
like
you
she asked me not to.
Because she asked you, yeah. And you honor that. This is not for nothing, and I think as a dude or whatever, it may mean something, but you are such a wonderful mother to our children. Like, to see the love, like it is a very interesting thing for a man to witness a woman when they're going through a nesting period. And it's like, I have to get all of this together. Like, there's got to be a crib, and there's got to be a rocker, and I need a pump, and I need to do this stuff. And I'm like, I don't know nothing about none of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Brittag, like getting the strollers and all this stuff. Because when the child came, you were ready. And like, as a dude, it was like, I picked a partner who can do these things, who can help me learn how to do these things. You have never been a yes woman. And I don't know this is what I mean. You challenge your husband at every turn. When you don't agree, you let me know. And this is what I love about you, and also frustrates me when you don't do it with other people. Because you can make people better. Because you make me better.
Thank you, Stroh.
You're welcome, Bert.
That's very kind. I will try to use my voice a little bit better. Oh, well, I'll ask you this.
Go
because
ahead.
I was talking about pride, so go on that theme. What are you the most proud of in yourself and or us in these past 18 years together?
We argued a lot. And look, our son told us we still have problems.
I'm snappish.
But I'm saying before they got here, like, we put each other through our paces. You know what I'm saying? And so I think we have both grown in patience and acceptance. I think there are these sort of unspoken things that you have at the beginning of a marriage in terms of expectations of human behavior. This is the right way to show up for something. This is the wrong way to show up. And I felt like oftentimes both of us had very little grace for each other showing up as who we were, and we're constantly trying to make somebody into something else that they were never intended to be, right? I think that we have reached a place where it's like, okay, this is who Ryan is. This is who Sterling is. If I have a suggestion or a thought or whatever, I can do it in a spirit of love and grace without being like, why are you doing that? You know what I mean? Like, I felt like that probably happened way more than it needed to happen for both of us in the beginning of our marriage. What do you think? What are you proud of? Nothing.
No, I'm just trying to figure out how to put this into words because it's easy. I think I'm proud of the fact that, like, if our relationship is a mat, like a boxing ring, maybe that's not the best, but like. No, or we continue to show up.
Yeah.
Even though we get knocked down.
Yeah. And I get up again. Yeah, you're never gonna.
Yeah, no, we keep getting back up again in terms of this. In terms of our relationship, we have had knockdown, drag out fights with each other. We've had some of the worst moments a couple could go through. We've had some of the darkest times a couple can go through, and it's very easy to just turn away.
Yeah.
And wash your hands of the whole thing. And we've been in situations where no one would have blamed either one of us at any point in one of those times, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And we actively chose each other because we had an unshakable belief that there was something better on the other side.
Yeah.
We had faith.
It got shook in the moment. But like, folks were willing to hold on. Like, you cannot, I'll say this to our viewers, if you're going through something, try to get to the other side of it before making a life-altering decision.
Exactly.
Right?
Right.
Because I think we were both like, while folks wanted to be like, make a decision, you're like, you know what, let me sit here.
In the undiscomfort.
Yes.
Because sometimes you're in an uncomfortable situation and it feels more comfortable to make it worse.
Right.
Right. And like, I'm just going to do this. And then I'll make a bigger mess and I'm out of here. And I think that the majority of decisions we've made together, we've made with sobriety.
Yes. I would agree with that. I'm proud of that.
And we've made them together.
Yeah.
Agreed. And that has ultimately led us here. So that's a good thing. And I guess I'm grateful that those sober choices have led us here, but I am very grateful that even in our infancy as, very young people, that and our marriage and like growing and learning these things and thinking we've got tools and maybe we didn't have tools and saying things the wrong way and all that stuff, we always get sober.
Yeah.
And we meet each other where sobriety lives. Yeah. And we meet each other where clarity lives. And then we say, okay, together we are going to make you sure you want to keep going? Yes. I want to keep going? Okay. I'm clear-eyed. All hearts and minds are clear. Giving all honor and glory to God.
It's one of those situations where you recognize, we used to have this conversation a lot about you believed in soulmates. And there's, I with my soulmate and da-da-da-da-da. And I'd be like, I don't know if I believe in the soulmate, right? Because that also means that if that feeling of like this person is my soulmate wanes, what's left? And I think that we both know that love is a choice. Like there's something that connects us, right? That we have points of commonality. We have like shared interests and beliefs, right? And in terms of what we want to do with our lives. But then even those things don't always connect in a way. Like you have to say like, you know what? Today I choose Ryan. Today I choose Sterling, right? And I'm very proud. I'm very proud that we have continued to choose each other to this day.
You could scream and shout, cry 1,000 tears, and I wouldn't let fear win. What you feel, I feel. Together we're healing.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. My favorite part of the show for one last time. This is why I'm hot. This is the section of the show. We take a topic off the dome. Each person gets a couple of minutes to say why they agree with one perspective or another. And then we all get a chance to agree that Sterling was right. So with that in mind, we will introduce our final This Is Why I'm Hot topic. If we'd broken up 20 years...
Well, I get to introduce it.
Oh, go ahead. You go ahead. All right.
If we'd broken up for 20 years and then got back together, do you think we would have the same level of romance and happiness we would have now? Allah?
Yeah. Who?
You know who.
But Nelly and Shanti?
No. Well, yes, them too, but when they got back together, did I or did I not? I want the record to show, did I or did I not play Dear Ben in our home in honor of them getting, like when they got back, when they got back together and they had their little thing in Colorado or wherever they were, or Boise, someplace out in the, and I was like, this is not a drill. This is not a drill. I was like, yo, this is going down. And I said to the universe, I lit a candle and I said, listen, if Ben Affleck does anything, and I mean anything to mess this up with Jennifer Lopez, I don't know how, I don't know when, and I don't know where, but by God, I'm going to take him down. I will burn every Dunkin' Donuts in the country if I have to. I was like, y'all heard it here, Lord Jesus. Kids were like, who is she talking to? I was like, doesn't matter. The Lord knows. So yes, do you think you think it would be, I'm going to say, yeah, I'm just going to answer. I'm going to say yes. I would have had 17 dresses, and Ralph Lauren would have done all my dresses, and it would have been fluorescent beige.
Is this for Ben Affleck or for me?
This is actually for me. It's just me and J-Lo. Me and J-Lo would have got married. No. She would have chosen me. She'd be like, oh, Sterling got back with you, girl. It's time for us to be together. And I'd have been like, finally. We would have had a double wedding, me, you, J-Lo, and Vin. It would have been fantastic. It would have just been fab. We wouldn't have been married on a plantation, but we probably would have been married in New York.
I don't understand you at all.
It would have been fantastic. So the answer is yes. If we had gotten back together after 20 years, it would have been fantastic. And we would have danced to Dear Ben at our wedding. And all planned out.
Listen, 20 years is a long time. A lot of life be life in 20 years, Jack. Honestly, listen, I'm going to agree with you because I think that's the only note to go out on. And because
Why are you responding like the sad Ben Affleck like me?
No, because we had 3.5 years where we were out of each other's lives.
We did.
Right? And then we did come back to each other's lives, and things were the best that they had ever been. Right? Still things to go through. I've witnessed Jen and Ben up close.
I know, and I was very upset. Okay, can I just also say, when you got that movie with Jennifer Lopez, did I or did not ask you if I could give them a wedding gift via you? I said, I want to go buy them a wedding present. Do that. And you said,
I think that's overstepping our bounds.
I said, but I've been invested.
It's going to seem strange.
I would have done it if you hadn't.
I know.
Put the kibosh.
So
I was on my way to Tiffany's, girl, and get you a gift, girl.
I guess we agree. I can't believe we made it through 12 episodes. Yo, thank you so much for watching, for listening. Tell friends, listen, if you can get a chance to get all the episodes, go back to one and listen to them through. If you check us out and you like us enough, hopefully we get a chance to come back and do it one more again. Thank you all.
And we've had a really wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Bird.
Thank everybody who's been involved. Thank
all
everybody
these
who's
people off camera right now have been holding us down.
Yes.
We love each and every one.
And we did not do this alone. This was Thank you to Blackbird. Thank you to ABF Creative, because ABF Creative is dope.
Yes.
I'm looking in the camera, but I really want to look at ABF. I know I was going to tear up.
This is all good.
But anyway.
Let it out.
And we got our Abby.
Listen, she's really mine.
She's really yours.
But I'll loan it to you every once in a while.
But sharing Abby has been lovely. Like everybody, honestly. Like, so this is for us to say yes to each other and then yes to a project and know all the pitfalls, and for us to like do it, it wouldn't have happened if we hadn't been held and cradled by like just amazing people. So
all right, do me a favor. Look at your camera. Say good night, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie.
Y'all take it easy.
I could stare at you for 100 years and I never blink an eye. You were beautiful, just like a flower. I could walk with you for 1,000,000 miles and my feet would not get tired. Where you go, I'll go, winter or summer.